they'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs at
Yes, everybody. Good afternoon, Hammers. Still not catching on, but I'll keep going. Rush and the West Ham Network. Hope you are all safe and well. Happy Friday. Congratulations. You have done another week, my friends. You have done another week. Congratulations. And obviously, we head into a West Ham free weekend, so to speak. Obviously, the internationals are going on, and I do a little roundup for the Hammers headlines later on today in terms of that, and obviously the AFCONs and all that type of stuff. But what is a little bit different today? What is a little bit different? And it's something which I picked up on the other day. I was trawling through the West Ham website, as always, to see the latest of what's been going down with the Hammers. And there was a really interesting article which may suggest why we didn't look at buying a right back. Why we didn't look at buying a right back significantly in terms of pursuing one in the transfer window. It's one of the areas which fullbacks is an area which I think we need development for, definitely, and maybe it might be a case that next year is we look at bringing in a left back and a right back who can play, for many years to come. However, I was reading this article, and it might give us. I mean, we've got this sort of utopian view of this pathway that Mark Noble's putting in place in terms of, developing guys from the 18s and the 21s into the first team. And there will be a smattering, that's for sure. We've seen Devine and Balm as well. He hasn't had much Premier League game time this year. We know that comes to cup competitions, the likes of him, Ollie Scholes potentially. We know that Freddie Potts has gone out on loan, and various others. And also we've seen how well what's his face is doing at Sunderland at the moment, the midfielder, and that could be one that eventually we rue to one that got away. But as I said, this article was talking about the re-emergence of Dan Chesters as a right wing back. But to be honest, nowadays the modern right back is pretty much a wing back, is a right winger. And this article was quite interesting. It says he's enjoying the challenges of playing as a wing back. He's made an impressive start to the PL2 campaign this year, and he's apparently thriving in this wing back role. He's often. I mean, Dan's been around the peripherals for a while. Get a game here. He played. Didn't he score He scored in the Australia pre-season, I think, and he's often deployed in a front three, really on the right hand side usually. I thought, that's when he definitely came on for the. It was either Perth or Spurs. He definitely played, and Potsy has moved him to right wing back this campaign, and it's a role that he has hit with real good form. He's only 20 years old, really. I think Dan Chesters seems like he's been around for ages, but he's only 20. He's been out on loan quite a bit. And the under 21s have hit 4 straight wins in a row. I mean, Chesters himself has said, yes, he did. He made the preseason tour. There we go. He says it's a really good position for me. It lets me express myself and get into one-on-ones with the opposition fullback so I can show my skills and attack them. You have that time and space to take players on, a lot of influence on the game as you see a lot of the ball, more of the ball than when you're on the wing, obviously. And it just got me thinking that maybe he could be the pathway player for the right side of defence. Granted, he says by his own admissions, he's not, defence isn't his greatest attribute yet. But, it's like, could you train a winger to be a defender or defender to be a winger? I think it's probably easier because actually in terms of modern football now, it's all about getting those wing backs forward. I mean, look at Emerson. Emerson plays pretty much like a left winger, in all honesty. You don't get those defenders anymore. It's more about the attacking side of the game from the fullbacks now. Thanks, Pep. And so, Potsy said, that Dan's a naturally attacking player. When you play him at wing back, you know what you're going to get. He's going to do his defensive duties, but he really wants to get forward as much as possible. So he's always on the front foot. So maybe we've also, don't forget, got our sort of pathway player on the left-hand side in terms of Ollie Scarles, who's, continuing to impress. Now, obviously, the question's going to be, oh, but is Moyes going to play him? I'm not saying he's going to. I'm not saying they're going to the first team tomorrow. But what I'm saying is there may be method to the madness of why we didn't pursue fullbacks this year. It might be next year we buy them anyway, and this video is redundant. But just it's an interesting reason why they put that article on the website. For me, it's like I've seen a lot. I mean, I've seen a lot of Dan. Yeah, he's a very attack-minded player, and could make a good wing back. We don't know. We may even see him at the Carrow Cup when we play Lincoln City away. Who knows? Although when we see the players who probably played against Ipswich in the Jesse Lingard Memorial match yesterday, a lot of them were guys who haven't had many minutes. So I imagine a lot of them would probably put out quite a strong side for that Lincoln game, I think. But there's so many games happening in September. The likes of Dan might get a run out. And if he gets a run out at right wing back, we play say 3 at the back, for example. Why not? Why not? It was also noted that in training session the other day on the West Ham website, so when they did their sort of like, West Ham players still training during the international break and not getting injured like JWP, it was Jacob Knightbridge was spotted training with the first team during the international break. He's someone who is they seem to have a lot of hope on. Same as Heggie. Obviously, Heggie went to Stevenage on loan. So there does seem, I mean, it does seem that particularly with, and I appreciate Knightbridge was only sort of promoted because Areola was on his international duty, but still it shows a willingness there. You could see he was sort of heavily involved in some of the shooting drills and things like that, particularly. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, Knightbridge, if you don't know, he's an under-18 international. He's his 4th choice technically this season. Last year was on loan to Harrow Borough, I think, and now he's the West Ham under 21 first choice goalkeeper. Now, and they've, as I said, won the 3 of the first 4 games. Maybe he might go another loan move, maybe, but. It's interesting to see, and I know the question's going, but Moyes never plays it, and I appreciate that is the. But actually, now when you look at the squad we've got now that Saudi Pro League has finished, we've got the confirmed squad. It hasn't been officially confirmed because we've only got 24 players. But when you look at the squad, there is definitely not as much space for youth at the moment as we would like to. But then there's a balancing act, I think, now. We're always going to get that balancing act in the fact that Moyes is definitely looking for results this year because it's his last year, in his current contract. So he wants to go out and high or maybe try and get a new deal. I don't know. On the other side, you've got the pathway and the work that Tim Steiden's doing as well. So the pathway stuff that Nobes is doing and the stuff that Tim's doing as well. But it's good to see there's options there now. It's good to see there's options. I mean, when you look at the squad now, I think where we were last year, there's a lot more depth in quality. I think also we've been a little bit more ruthless as well. I still think it could have been more ruthless, but and I think you need to be ruthless when you get to a certain level. So the likes of Lanzini, for example, he may have got 10 minutes here or 10 minutes there. He may have got the European, but he's 29. He wants to be playing first team football. He's gone back to River Plate. That's his boyhood club. That sort of worked out well. Losing, he should have been in the 41. Skomaker, Vlasic. We've sold some players and we've brought some real quality in now. So, when you're looking at the side that probably played the friendly against Ipswich, it was the likes of Fabianski, Anok Bonner, and Tilo Kira, and people like that. There's some good. The second, I don't like the word the second string, but it is a very good side. It is a very good side. And indeed, when you look at how we would, potentially line up for the Premier League compared to the Europa League, for example, in the Carabao Cup. It's quite impressive. Let's have a go, shall we? Let's have a go. Let me bring it all up, and we'll have a look. You see, we've now got a situation now where I think we've got genuinely two teams, two very, very good teams, and there may be a little bit of jiggery pokery in terms of who we're going to be, in terms of formations and stuff like that. But I think there's real depth in our team now. I'd be interested to see if we send out anyone else on loan. We might send some. I wouldn't be surprised if we send out some more kids out on loan. Obviously, we've got the loan sort of committee, which is really good, and again shows a step forward in where we should be. So if we let's bring up the window, and again, this is just me being subjective. This is just my views. It's not definitely definitely the way. Let's just quickly do this. And do that, and as if by magic. Hello, as if by there we go. How disappointing! It would have been perfect. So if we were looking at the Premier League squad, for example, so say based on what we've got so far, it's you've got Areola in goal, you've got Emerson, and this is obviously when everyone's fit and healthy. Again, probably Zuma, or definitely Zuma is the sort of the confirmed captain, though he hasn't really been confirmed yet. Although you think he would be confirmed. Zuma, and then you've got, and then midfield. I mean, you've got probably your preference would be JWP, Alvarez, Paqueta, and again, I'm just throwing these guys on at the moment. Paqueta, then you've got Bowen. Well, you've got options here. You've got Bowen, you've got Antonio, and I know Kudus is not necessarily on the left hand side, but you've got a very good first 11. Possibly, I'd say a stronger first 11 than we had last season. But then when you're looking at the cup competitions, so straight away, if we're keeping that formation, straight away, Areola out, Mr. What's name, Mr. Fabianski, Mr. Crybaby, maybe Cresswell, maybe Ollie Scholes potentially. You can take him out. You could bring in Oggy. You could take out him. You could bring in Mavropanos, or even, as we've seen, we can bring in Tilo Kira there, or Mavropanos can play right back and Tilo Kira. You've got the likes of Tommy Souček maybe coming in there. I mean, if you wanted to go completely different, you could bring in Connor Coventry. You could then bring in or even Pablo Fornals. You could bring in him. You could bring in Sai Benrahma. You could bring in, that's all I'm saying at the moment. You could bring in, who we got here? Cornet. And you could bring in, I've got him, yeah. And you could bring in Danny. You could bring in Danny, or you could bring in Divine. So, and actually that ain't with the exception of maybe Connor, bless him. And that could be changed around. You could put, you could probably put you might be able to go with something slightly different. But we've got two sides now, two good sides. I mean, that side should, that side there, that's good enough to beat Lincoln. That's good enough to progress very far in the Carabao Cup. I'd suggest also that, that side's good for, and for in terms of Europa League, you get sort of a mix of that. You're bringing, I think Emerson would be instead of, I don't like Cresswell playing left back. I think for the Europa League, you'd probably, you'd do something similar to the Premier League, maybe one or two players out and one or two players in, that type of thing. But yeah, no, it's a good squad now. The trouble is now, the issue is going to be the pathway. And that's why I think it's good to have the youth sort of loan committee in order for players to the likes of Dan, for example, the likes of Knightbridge, the likes of someone like Patrick Kelly, to get minutes, first team minutes is different. Give them 60, 70 minutes against Lincoln City, ain't going to develop them in terms of where we want them to be. If you want them to be first team ready, you want them to be out on loan. Basically, Freddie's doing well at Lincoln at the moment. You've got Heggie at Stevenage, and that type of thing. So it started talking about the right back, and it's progressed as always. We do these videos, but let me know what you think. And I know we've got this sort of dichotomy at the moment. But if we look at the next season, for example, if there's if Mr. Moyes doesn't have his contract renewed, a new manager comes in. We've got Tim Steiden there in terms of we've got players there who could keep going for, and develop, like the likes of Kudus, the likes of Alvarez, people like that, as well as the youth team players like Divine, Ollie, Dan, and some great players underneath that as well. Everything's spoken about Casey, who I read an article yesterday that he's the next Declan Rice because he's a centre half and he can play midfield, and he's a good player as well. The future's looking bright. The future is looking bright. We just need to get a good season this season, I think, to finish off the Moyes era in a positive, and then whether that's a top 10, top 8, whether that's a decent cup run, whether that's a decent run in Europe, just to keep that momentum going. And I think we will do. Anyway, guys, I'll be back with Hammer's Headlines. That's my brain dump today. I'll be back with Hammer's Headlines later on. Don't forget to like, comment, share, all that good stuff. I tell you what we will do. Thank you for people who are still watching. Let's do the draw for September. We haven't done that yet. So for anyone who knows, who doesn't know, we have a membership program, which is down there. Hit the join button. Every month we get, we do a draw for our members. Not only do they get exclusive content during match day weeks and stuff like that, but also they get entered into a prize draw. So it's like a raffle ticket, basically. It's a couple of quid a month. And it helps support the channel. And we've got one more signed football from last season from our channel partners, Umbro. So that will be going in the draw. Let's just make it a bit wider so we can see. So you'll see in here, we've got all the, there it is. We've got all the names of all the channel members. So we'll spin that as we're chatting away. Obviously, we start all the stuff for Man City game next week with previews and, opposition fans and all that type of stuff. And you're going to get sick. I think we've got something like 4 games in 10 days or something like that, because then we've got TSC in the Europa League, and then we've got Liverpool, and it's gonna be busy, plus Lincoln City. Right, let's see who we've got. It's Greg, Toby, Anthony, Chuck, Narky. I reckon it's gonna be Owen Butcher. Is it me Jan? Is it me Owen? Or Stephen Green, which I've spelled Stephen Green. Owen Butcher. Congratulations, Owen. If you can email us at westhamnetwork@gmail.com, we will then send that through to you and get it in the post. I've been very good and I've got everything sorted out now, so I know all my so I've got all my stuff. Everything's been boxed up. So Owen, if you could email us at westhamnetwork@gmail.com, I can get that sent to you straight away. And that's it, my friends. I hope you have a lovely weekend. We'll be back. Irish Tommy may be here tonight. I don't know. If not, we try and do a late show on tomorrow as well. But take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble. Keep the faith, my friends. And we'll see you guys very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.